your host, Cash Money Morgan. You guys, very fun episode. Very, very excited about it. So please give a warm welcome to the one, the only, Anthony Brent. Anthony, how are you feeling tonight?
Blessed.
Feeling blessed?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Excited to be here.
Excited to be here. If you're watching online, which you guys, I will get the videos up online at some point, but we have an array of hot sauces here on my table tonight, and we're excited to talk about it. But before we even get into the episode, I kind of have like a funny story to share. Okay, but pause. The ADHD. If you hear anything in the background, we're still recording downtown in the loft. Every time I record, it's like motorcycle central, but it's fine. You know, I finally finalized the design for the podcast studio. It's gonna happen here soon. I had something crazy happen today though, Anthony, before we get into our episode.
Yeah.
I went to Lululemon over lunch, and I walked in, and this girl was kind of looking at me a lot, and I was like, dang, is this... There it goes. I was like, dang, I'm just walking to Lululemon, like, does someone have beef with me? Like, what's going on? And she came up to me and she was like, hey, are you Cash Money Morgan? And I was like, what? She's like, I listen to your podcast. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's huge.
So it turns out we're already following each other, and Sierra, if you see this, slay queen, but I've just never really had that experience before, so.
That's huge.
I was vibing out, go Lululemon. Well, anyways, super pumped to have Anthony here on the podcast. This has been an idea that we've talked about probably for over a month.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, so we met actually through my current job. Anthony was looking for some marketing stuff, so obviously Live, Laugh, Love marketing. But I'm excited to talk about really your heart and passion behind like what you do and where it came from. So Anthony, you want to take the floor?
Yeah, absolutely. It started back in probably 2019. I was doing competition barbecue. I did that, for about a year and a half, actually close to 2 years, did a couple competitions, met a lot of cool people. And during competitions, you got to create your own recipes. You have to be unique. You have to come up with your own thing, so you can have that competitive edge. And I created some flavors, and I won a couple of contests. I placed in a couple of different places. And 2020 hits, everything just shuts down. I was selling insurance over the phone. I always wanted to get back into entrepreneurship. I used to own a music venue at one point, and I just wanted to get back into that. And I was selling insurance, and I was like, I really don't want to sell snake oil anymore. Insurance does benefit people, and I don't want to take that away. But I just really wanted to sell something of my own, and so fast forward, I was still doing insurance, and I was selling the stuff over the phone, and at my house, and I reached out to some co-packers, sent them some recipes. They sent us some recipes back. It wasn't the same thing at all. Ended up getting my first first product in a bottle, and it was just a disaster, Fast forward probably 8 months later, we went through another co-packer. We went through 4 in total, and we finally got the product that I knew that I could sell, and I knew that it would be award-winning, and I knew that it would be incredible. And I reached out to a good friend of mine that used to help me with the music venue. When we'd have like touring bands come to town and things like that, he would help me like design flyers and and help me with like graphic design and things like that. And he does the artwork for the Tim Burton Museum.
That's awesome.
And he threw some things together. We bounced back and forth. I told him that I wanted like the logo, or not the logo, but the skyline of Springfield on there, because once I moved to Springfield, I fell in love with the city. So I was like, I want to dedicate that, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But, we ended up with our very first product, our spicy garlic, when we got that bottled, and, it took some capital to put down, and 2 years later, we sold our first bottle. It was a lengthy process, almost 3 years, but, 2 years later, June 17th, we sold our first bottle at the farmer's market, and we absolutely crushed it. We
Wow.
made a decent amount of money that would have taken, somebody a week or two, at a real job to make, and we did it in less than 5 hours. And I was like, yeah, we have something here.
That's amazing. And there's a lot to unpack in everything you just said. So you're selling insurance, and I believe, are you from St. Louis, right? Is that where you're living there at the time?
Yeah.
So you're selling insurance, and then you're like, you know what? I'm want to try my own passion. I want to do this whole thing. And so hot sauce is really what we're here about. And so Springfield Trading Co. There's a lot. I mean.
Yeah. Well, sorry, I want to correct. I wasn't living in St. Louis at the time. I was from St. Louis, the St. Louis area, but during that time I was living in Springfield.
Okay, so you were in Springfield. No, you're good. So the name Springfield Trading Co., where exactly did that come from?
So Springfield Trading Company is the name that I came up with, primarily because create like a shop that you could go in and get like kind of like Shookman's or something like that, but like some bougie shop. I wanted like where you could get the highest quality ingredients, the highest quality meats that you could find in the world. You know, that was my idea, and I really wanted to. At the time, I found a company out in Cincinnati that makes the highest quality milk in the country, and I wanted to create like an on draft like chocolate milk, strawberry milk, and then like have like baked healthy cookies and vegan options and things like that. So I wanted a brick and mortar shop. So I was like, Springfield Trading Company, I'll start with the hot sauce, I'll create other different products, and I'll team up with other manufacturers and producers to create an awesome shop. And that was the ultimate vision, and that is not the vision no more.
So when did the vision change? It
changed once I understood the business that I wanted to be in and what that was going to take. Especially in 2020, when I got the product and I started selling the product, or started producing the product, and I seen the margins and things like that. And then I also seen shops shut down, and nurses had to get vaccines to go to work, and and everything, and all these bars and restaurants were getting shut down. And I didn't at that time there wasn't a glimmer of hope for everything to get back to normal. So I was like, and I didn't have $250,000 to $500,000 in capital to do this. So I didn't really have a whole plan or a structure to pull this off. But I just knew that I never wanted to end up in an area where I have rent as overhead, and I and had those types of expenses right out the gate.
100%. So to back up to, okay, so that's the vision of Springfield Trading Co. At that point, you're like, okay, I want to just have this be hot sauce. So walk us through what that looked like in Springfield. Were you still working at that time and doing this on the side, or when did it become really a full-time gig?
So it started, as it was, a couple hours a week, Well, we got to fast forward to 2020 or 2022 when I started selling it. I was working another job and producing these bottles, and I was just doing the farmer's market on the weekend. Eventually you come to a time to where you just got to get real with yourself, and I've always risked it for the biscuit.
Period.
Yeah, for real. I mean, I live by a model, and I had a different upbringing, and people live their life a different way. Everybody lives their life a different way, but I want to wake up every day and live life to the fullest. I don't, if I die tonight, I want to say, dude, I did everything that I could that day, that I possibly could. So I did end up, so I just dove off into the deep, and I had no idea how this was going to work, and honestly, it was a God thing, because I was working at a job and it just really wasn't working out for either one of us, even though my employer at the time, which is a very incredible guy, to this day, he was like, hey man, like I've given you like a lot of space to like do both things, because I know that you have something here, and I believe in you, and I support you, but like it's not really going to be the perfect, it's not really working out for either of us anymore. Like, you're making more money and you're more passionate about what you do, than you could ever do here, you know, and ended up being mutual, you know.
Wow.
And it really was a God thing, and the support from that was just incredible. It kind of gives you goosebumps, you know. So the first months you kind of get like, well, is this going to work out? But then, you know, things just start, God does his thing, you know, and it's hard to expect what God's going to do, you know, because he does things so incredibly, but he just made it work out so good. And now, you know, there's just blessings nonstop.
Yeah. And it is scary to bet on yourself
100%.
when you don't know what the outcome's going to be, and you have rent and food, and I know you're married. So what was that like, you know, with her and making that decision of, I'm going to pursue this full time?
Yeah, so my wife is absolutely incredible. She has supported me from the very beginning. She believes in me more than I believe in myself sometimes, you know, so she was like, Anthony, I support you no matter what. And really, it wasn't ever about the money, you know, because the business started producing from the very beginning, which is a complete blessing in any business. If you talk to any entrepreneur, like, you don't see the money until close to the finish line, typically, you know. But, you know, I told her that I never wanted to take out any loans. I didn't want to borrow money to make money, you know. So she was completely supportive, and she was like, Anthony, like, you make enough money. I just don't you just don't want to do it because you think that, you know, I might, you know.
Well, failure can be scary. And then and, you know, in my last episode we did with Glenn, he is so successful, but he mentioned that he lost everything twice before. And that's one of those things where you learn which risks to take and which ones not to take. But it's scary when there's a lot on the line. No,
you're absolutely right. And yeah, so she supported me, and she wanted me to do it before I kind of wanted to do it, you know, and that just felt right. So, I mean, we did it, and, you know, then I started making more in a week than I did in 6 months at a job.
Wow.
And then she was like, I told you. And I was like, you're right, baby.
She's like, so the birthday present better be like Louis Vuitton. Like,
right. You're absolutely right.
Dior. No, that's
some Chanel.
Awesome. Yeah, some Chanel. So I feel like there's a lot to still unpack.
Yeah.
So let's learn a little bit more on, to take it way back. Like, did you go to college? Did you not? Like, were you just entrepreneurship from the jump? Like, what is your background?
My background's pretty rocky. I don't want to dive off into a lot of it, but even
to interject for a second, like you just mentioned, you said, you know, you risk it for the biscuit because of your upbringing, and like I don't want to touch on anything that you don't want to touch on, but it seems like that's a big like inspiration, passion driver for you. And so whatever you want to share is welcome, and whatever you don't want to, you don't have to.
Absolutely. I just don't want to bore the people listening. But yeah, so I mean, so my past was pretty interesting. I always went 100% in everything that I did, whether that was good or bad. And some of the times that was a lot of bad, you know. As a young man, you know, we don't really have anything to stand for, and if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I didn't have goals, you know, and I didn't have my brain right, and I didn't have a relationship with God. So, I mean, until I found those things were not what I wanted them to be. I always knew what I had in me. I just never had an avenue to exploit that.
Yeah.
So my upbringing, I went to college. I went to Full Sail University. It was 2 years online and 2 years in person. I did the 2 years online, then I dropped out. Student loans, the whole thing. I mean, I borrowed a bunch of money, and it was a lot of good and it was a lot of bad. It was a learning experience, but it just wasn't for me. I mean, I dropped out of high school my freshman year, 2 months in. And I felt like during that time, like a lot of people, you know, I was the first person to drop out in my class. So it was like, you know, it's a hard punch to take, but that didn't really affect me. I just kept on going, you know. I went to college for 2 years. I dropped out and working while everybody else was going to school.
Wow. I would have never guessed. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't have to touch it either, but I mean, drop out of high school freshman year, was that just stuff going on behind the scenes? Or I mean, why did you just drop out of high school?
That's a great question. I was actually doing very well in school. I never had any issues with grades or anything. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Like parents, they were just, okay.
No, they definitely did not co-sign that. No, not at all. So that was, stern talking to from my father, and he was like, you're not going to lay around here. You're going to have to get to work. Next thing I know, I'm working at Hardee's, first thing in the morning, at 4 a.m. I had to be there, and I'm making biscuits, and then I see people, now it's freshman year, I've been dropped out for close to a year, and now I'm making the kids I went to school for breakfast, before they get to before they arrive to school in the morning. And, so I got a real early start on adulthood, and, I don't know, I don't regret anything in my life, and I take everything that I've done, and I wouldn't change anything, especially how I know the story's going to end,
Right.
So, I mean, I've just been super, God's always had me, and I'm just really fortunate.
Absolutely. Do you feel like when you dropped out and you were immediately in the workforce, and do you feel like any of that pushed you harder, like made you more motivated than some of your peers because you felt like you had to work for something, or you wanted, but you also mentioned that maybe you were in the mindset of you were still figuring everything out at that age, so I don't know. No,
absolutely. I mean, when you're put into a situation or a position that, that's fundamentally different than, what everybody else is going through, you've got to really find out who you are, and so I'm very competitive. So at that time, the only person that I was competing with was myself, so I knew I had to win, but there was a lot of ups and downs during that time. It was quite a period, but that's just the name of the game once you go down that road, It's
so cool to see like your quote unquote origin story, and now, really being on the come up and having, we'll get into it in the episode, but just everything you got going on right now and the way that you're exploding, it's unreal. So it's really cool to see that journey that I didn't even know about. So yeah,
it's definitely interesting. We all grow up a different way, and everybody's got a sad story, mine's definitely not sad. Everybody's been through a lot worse stuff than I have. I just don't give up. I believe I read something a long time ago that said that the universe rewards consistency, and if you don't give up, then you'll win. And that's one thing about me, is I never give up. So I just keep going,
Yeah. I've never heard that quote about the universe, but that's definitely how it is with work ethic, for sure. We've had episodes on the podcast, Dion Holloman, where he's like, I had all these odds against me, but I'm the one that's working 10 times harder. Even with the podcast really blowing up and making money, you look at podcasts like Full Send, and they say, hey, we really grew our brand for 5 years before it took off. So there's some things where you really weed out the people that don't have that strength when they're the ones that are quitting versus the ones that are being perseverant and saying, hey, I'm going to stick this out because I believe in me and I believe in my dream and my vision, and I love doing this. And so that's, I don't know, that's what I tell them when they're like, well, why do you do it when you don't make tons of money? Because I'm like, someday I will.
Yeah.
I don't know. And if I don't, just being able to have conversations like this about stuff that's cool and sharing your story with people, that's enough for me if it impacts one person.
No, absolutely. So I think you can do anything as long as you provide value and you're a good person, I think if you just stick at that and do those two things, then nothing can stop you. Honestly.
That's good. So to rewind back more so on the hot sauce focus, so you launched Springfield Trading Co. in 2022, but you said you really started developing the product in 2020, right? So can you walk me through again? And you said, you were trying products and this. Like, when did you really have that perfect product? Because obviously you spent 2 years really developing and, getting some stuff off the ground. So what did that look like?
So really I've had the product for a while. You can have something incredible. Anybody can go in their kitchen and make a hot sauce or a barbecue sauce. What you learn is when you're trying to sell it and you're trying to turn it into a business, that certain ingredients are very expensive. Certain things, certain mixtures don't work out. Sometimes you have to cold press a sauce. Sometimes you got to do a hot pour. You know, and certain ingredients don't mix because the pH levels can do this or X, Y, and Z, right? So when you go through that and you created, my first product was it wasn't spicy garlic. I don't know what I called it then, but I don't know, I had like 20 something ingredients in it. You know, I was throwing carrots and I was throwing this in it, you know, it was, you know, but then you're worrying about volume, you're worrying about weight. You know, when you're cooking the process, when when you're searing like the vat, when you're doing this, you know, you're talking about cleanup time, you know, and turnover rates and reproduction, and, you know, it doesn't really work out. So, I mean,
One thing about me is that I don't play games unless it's ping pong at Classics Yard. Classics Yard is Springfield's #1 social sport and game center. It is located in the back of Classic Rock Coffee Company headquarters and next door to the Riff. Coffee, sports, music, what more could you want? Located at 1900 West Sunset Street in Springfield, Missouri. Be sure to check them out, play some games, and reserve your event today. Visit www.classicsyard.com.
Went back and forth with a co-packer, and we cut pretty much everything out to like 4 ingredients. And then that's really when I was like, this is really what I want. Like, this is better than mine, you know? It ended up being extremely healthy. It took out all the junk. And I was like, this is the avenue that I want to go down, you know, because it is healthier, it's cheaper to produce, but by no means does it cut corners, you know. It's a supreme product.
Absolutely. And even in terms of our marketing conversations, you mentioned, like, it's a sauce that doesn't have any of the BS in it. It's not the preservatives, all that stuff. Like, it's legit.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to making those sauces, it can get dicey quite quickly. You'll end up with you'll just basically end up with a sauce that you can't afford to sell, and it's going to be unhealthy for you. But you find that a lot in retail stores. You know, I don't want to blast any hot sauce companies off the top of my head, but we all know who we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And those guys got things on the label you can't even pronounce. You know what I'm saying? They got artificial food coloring that's going to cause cancer and kill you in 20 years. You got
Let them know.
You got Red 40. You got all that other stuff. You got pretty much. I mean, there's.
That's the wrong. Go ahead. Pop off.
Yeah, I mean, like there's more sugar in 1 tablespoon of ketchup than there is in an entire donut. You know.
Oh, I did not know that.
You know, so once you start going down that road, you find out, like, yeah, my product is better. You know, and it's not an ego thing. It's a
facts thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Something I find interesting that I'm just really realizing from you talking is, have you always had a passion for food and beverage? I mean, you mentioned, I wanted to have a place with the chocolate, like in the milk and this and food, and you know, you're working in food immediately right after high school, you know, and then obviously the hot sauce. I mean, is there any background? Like, how did you know you wanted to really be in that industry?
I've always hated working in kitchens. I mean, I am a licensed sous chef, or certified technically, but that doesn't really mean anything. It just sounds cool. Basically, you prepare, you chop vegetables and prepare beverages. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? But,
right.
So I never liked working in kitchens. I love cooking. I love doing competition barbecue. I love making good food. I guess it's just mass producing, you know, Hardee's or Long John Silver's or something like that, you know, that just gets miserable. You get burnt, you're hot, you're sticky, you're greasy, and it's just unenjoyable. But no, when it comes to the hot sauce, I just wanted something to sell. That's it. I always knew that I was good at selling. I always knew that I could build incredible relationships, you know, and I just wanted to sell something again. I mean, I was very successful in insurance. You know, I don't want to name numbers or anything like that, but I did very well with what was given to me, and I was like, dude, if I can do this, then this is gonna pop off. Especially if I can have, you know, my heart behind it. You know,
right.
It's like if you were doing a podcast for somebody else, you wouldn't enjoy as much as having your own show. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just changes things.
100%. 100%. Your heart, your name, your passion, like that's the driving force behind all of that.
100%.
So let's talk about why your hot sauce is different. I mean, you mentioned there's no extra added stuff, but really tell us about Springfield Trading Co. What is, what's the vision? Who's the ideal customer? I mean, you look at the cover art, which you'll see on all the marketing stuff for the podcast, but it's super cool and it's different. So can you walk us through the vision of the product?
Yeah, so, I mean, I wish it was a really cool story to where, you know what I mean? Like, where I had like
a vision and a dream and a dragon and
But honestly, like it was just step by step, as soon as I accomplished X, I went to Y, and then I went to Z. And it was a step by step thing. I'm good at marketing, but I don't know why. But I see it in my head, but sometimes it's really hard to explain unless I find a professional. That's like, I get you. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But if you talk to somebody and you try to share that with somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about or have any marketing background or, things like that, they just think you're crazy. They're like, no, that's not going to work. And then you don't want to be around those types of people.
Well, some people have the eye for the consumer.
Right.
And that's something that I think like we both have, where even if I'm not good at business or marketing, I'm like, I'm not going to buy a product that's doing that, or I'm not, this video, this type of work interests me. And that's why we talked about, different marketing avenues where you're like, well, this is so different and weird. Well, I'm like, well, this is what I as a consumer like to watch. Right. So I'm going to do that tactic, so.
No, absolutely. I think that our ideal customer is somebody that just, right now, everybody's tired of giving corporations money when, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at the comparison of what is in British food and what's in American food, if you look at the ingredients, it'll make your stomach turn. You know what I mean? Especially when, nobody's really trusting the big brands anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody is really doing that. And the reason they're doing that is because it's not a quality product. If you look at the farmer's market, and the statistics of who goes there and who spends what, they would rather find a bell pepper, or they would rather buy a bell pepper that was grown 20 minutes away and then brought here, period, rather than something that has wax on the outside, it's been injected with food coloring, and it's been sprayed with pesticide, before every truck that it gets on. And by the time that it gets to you, it's this withered up 10-month-old poison. It's, you know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
So my ideal customer is the demographic of people that want unhealthy product, but also a quality product, a gourmet product, and just don't want to be part of the norm. Anybody can go spend $1.60 and get a bottle of Red Hot, at Walmart. But if you really want to have the best experience, and you really want to have a good time, and you really want to have a high quality product that's not only gonna give you the better flavor, better presentation, healthier, but it's also gonna be it's gonna impress your friends. It's gonna be incredible.
Incredible.
So
it's a high standard hot sauce. So, if you're looking for anything, it's probably not the best choice. But if you're looking for something quality, and that's going to obviously not have the junk in it, it's just like dating. Like, if you want a high quality person, they're probably going to have this hot sauce.
Right. No, absolutely. I really love the approach that Truff had on hot sauce. I really think they took the world by storm. And I like the way that they came into being a business, but I really liked how they marketed their product as a luxury product. They didn't go down the health road, but they went down the luxury. So, I love that. But I was like, what if you had an in-your-face label, blast in your face, cool color, but it also had the name of supporting an incredible foodie community.
Yeah.
That was also healthy, but also, we also donate a certain percentage of profits. We just hooked up Springfield Community Gardens, and now they're using our stuff to.
That's amazing.
For what they do, and we've helped a lot of nonprofits. We donated thousands and thousands of dollars all over Springfield because we believe in the youth. So we wanted to kind of take that same approach, but we just didn't want to do it the luxury thing, because we don't do what other people are doing. We do what other people aren't willing to do.
That's good.
That's
good.
And that's kind of the approach. And once you do that, you don't have to find a customer. The customer finds you. You know, it's kind of like if you build it, they will come. And we have built it. And I don't even have to say it. You know, the proof is in, you know.
The proof is in the product.
Yeah. I mean, you can just see by our track record, you know.
Now I want to talk about, too, the partnerships that you have. I don't know how much you're allowed to say or what you're not allowed to say, but you've got a lot going on. Like, this isn't just a hot sauce that, ooh, like, your mom likes it. She does like it. She does. But there's some big, heavy hitters out here that like it and are having it in their facilities. Are you allowed to really say where your hot sauce is located? Especially here in Springfield, but also nationally.
Yeah. So we started very early in the company. We got reached out to, and there's some drag racing going on. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and I love it, but this is the coolest podcast studio in the world. And
law flying. Just wait till I'm in the actual studio.
Right.
You know, it's coming soon, hopefully.
If you build it, it'll come, you know.
That's right. Rome wasn't built in a day at the Roman Empire. Yeah, I'm sorry. ADHD. Go ahead. Keep going.
No, I lost track of what
You're talking about partnerships.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're not even really collaborations. At the end of the day, they're clients, and we take very good care of our clientele. And we're very fortunate to have the companies that represent us and that are willing to have us on their shelves. We really appreciate every single one of them. We just got a new collaboration with Culver's, so that's incredible.
Rock on, Wisconsin roots.
Let's go, baby.
You know?
I mean, of course, we got Bass Pro. I mean, we're all
yes, sir.
Let's go. You know, I mean, we're all across the country with them. You know, we've been in Sugar Fire. We're in like 17 different restaurants at this point. We're going on 60 something retail stores. And we're going on a lot more. We got conversations with Walmart. I've got a meeting in Bentonville coming up. We'll see how that goes. But you know, I want to stay true to my roots with Bass Pro. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like they're conservative. You know, everything that they represent with their brand fits with ours better than Walmart does. But you know, my goal is to bring an incredible product to the masses. You know, so that's my goal. And so we've got partnerships with Culver's, Bass Pro, Cabela's,
Unreal.
Sugar Fire, just a ton of restaurants. I mean, we're doing a collaboration with Shookman Meats, you know, and they absolutely adore us, and they've got one of the most incredible gourmet, beef shops probably in Missouri. I mean, they got the highest quality Wagyu beef, Kobe. I mean, so they're going to be making us our own custom brat. So it's going to be spicy garlic with high temp pepper jack cheese, and it's going to absolutely be it's going to be insane. So you'll be able to pick that up soon at Shookman's, and they're also going to be making us our own beef jerky using Wagyu filet that's marinated in spicy garlic. So that's a little spoiler. That's coming real soon.
Yeah. So how did these partnerships come about? Are they all coming to you, or are you shooting your shot to them?
It's interesting because it sounds like because
landing Bass Pro is huge.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing in the world is I have yet to chase anybody, to be honest with you. I've reached out to a couple people because you have to do that. I mean, I think I reached out to Bosky's Vegan Grill. You got to network. You got to be out there hustling. Nothing's going to be given to you. But I was very fortunate in having Bass Pro reach out to us. What was it? 5 months being a company.
Wow.
You know, and they wanted to have a meeting, and that meeting was absolutely incredible. I mean, it's having something like that happen to you. It sounds unreal. Because it is unreal. I mean, I was invited to this Google-type Bass Pro-esque campus, you know, very incredible, like, base camp. And, you know, I walk in, you know, and there's 4 executives sitting across from me, and I'm just a little hot sauce guy, you know, sitting on the other side of the table. And they're like, this is the first time we have ever sat across from somebody to where we have all of your products in all 4 of our kitchens, but we don't know who you are.
That's insane.
And I was like, it gives you goosebumps, you know? So we all know how that conversation went. It went incredible, and I'm just very fortunate, you know? And, you know, we had to prove ourselves, you know? We had to prove what we were capable of. We had to prove that we could fulfill, you know, giant orders, and we had to, you know, be about it. You know, you can't talk about it, you got to be about it in one of those situations. So, I mean, we really grew up as a company during that time and really found out who we were, you know, who we were and what we were capable of. You know, and now, you know, the sky is the limit, you know.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot to unpack there, because let's talk about, when you say we, like, who is that all entailing? Are you the only one making this sauce? Or, you know, how are you hustling out here in the streets? And then who's in the, you know, in the kitchen making things happen, these huge orders?
Yeah. So so I have a pretty good sized team for being such a young company. I've got one employee. I've got around 17 people that that I pay to help grow the business. I've got photographers. I just hired a marketing agency, you know, that's going to help run ads and things like that. And they're literally the best marketing agency in town. So I'm really excited to see, you know, everything that they're going to do for us. You know, I've got, you know, photographers that I got from Bass Pro that used to, you know, some of the best in their business. I've got the best team. I've got the best CEPA in town. Like, I only want the best, because I feel like that's the only way to grow, and it matches what the brand is and the product is. So I want the best people, and I have the best people. I've got the best accountants. I've got the best CPAs. I've got the best business advisors. And this, I don't want it to come off like an ego thing. But it might, if, you know, but I'm not I don't care if I hurt anybody's feelings, you know what I'm saying? But
he's like, if it's not you, you're not the best, period.
Right. I mean, but that's just what the company needs, you know? I've got people that work in the warehouse. I got people that I pay to, when orders come in, they break down the boxes, they immediately repackage the boxes, and they ship them back out.
So you have a team who's creating the sauce now?
Yeah, so I've got, you know, I go through a co-packer, and there's like, you know, there's like 40 different people that work down there, you know, in Florida. And they, you know, I've got scientists, basically. They're not actual scientists, but I mean, they're recipe gurus, you know what I'm saying? They've got, you know, the people that work under them that help, you know, do the bottling, the packaging, the, you know, everything like that. I've got a decent sized team that helps keep this ball rolling, but I pay every single one of them very well, and that's I mean, that's why we're growing at the rate that we're growing.
That's right. And it's cool that regardless of if someone thinks, oh, that's, you know, oh, only the best because you blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you've made it very clear that your product is the best. You have a high standard when it comes to ingredients, packaging, only the best for the product. So it makes sense that in everything else you want to do, you really want only the best. Mm-hmm. And that's how you operate your company, and that's been successful so far. So that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want it to be, you know, it's not conceited. I just, if you want to have something, you know, if you want to have a great spouse, you gotta be somebody that is worth marrying, you know?
Right.
And if I want to be in Targets across the country, I gotta be worthy enough to get into Target, you know, or Bass Pro or something like that. You can't find a high quality woman if you're not a high quality man.
Period.
You know, and so, you know, so I've got the best team, and you know, and that's what it's gonna take, and the team's just gonna grow.
100%, 100%. So right in front of me are a number of different hot sauces and spices, some different flavors. Can you walk us through what flavors you have right now? And also, I mean, like, how difficult is it to come up with new flavors in a market that's been going on for years?
So I'm to a point now, like I mentioned, the scientists, that's what I call them, and that's what my production manager calls them as well. It's just because they're whizzes in the kitchen, you know what I mean? And they've been doing this for a long time. So I'm at a point now to where I don't have to do this. I don't have to do this in my kitchen, you
Nice.
know? And I don't have to, I mean, I never bottled it in my kitchen, but I don't have to like even come up with recipes in my kitchen. If I wanted a ghost pepper blueberry sauce, you know, I'll measure out ingredients, you know, and I'll put it on I won't measure it out physically, but I'll have a pretty good idea because I've got the experience of what I want in the product, and then I'll send that to my production manager, and he'll shoot me some ideas, and then we'll go back and forth for a few months, you know, and we'll be trying 20, 30 different, you know, demonstrations of the product until we've, you know, do we want garlic powder? Do we want roasted garlic? Do we want minced garlic? How chunky do we want it? You know, do we want it marinated in olive oil? Do we want it marinated in, you know, or roasted, or do we want it smoked? Do we want to add liquid smoke, which we never do because we don't add, you know, we don't use chemicals, but, you know, so we do our peppers in like a giant rotisserie thing.
Wow.
You know, it holds like 150 pounds of peppers at a time, and it cold smokes them, and it just throws them around, you know, until the skin peels off, and it's incredible. So, I mean, so that's the idea of like how we get, you know, some of our products, you know. The first few products were actually 100% my recipes, which you kind of have to be, but no matter what your recipe is, you could have your recipe to 100%. Once you send it off to a co-packer, you'll be lucky to get the same product back. It's impossible, you know, because you'll be like, hey man, I want X, Y, and Z in it, and then they'll come back and be like, hey man, if you want that in it, like, that's like, you won't be able to sell that product. It's too expensive. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting, yeah.
Like, you'll have to sell a bottle of hot sauce for $30. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's like Truff doesn't use actual truffles. They use a truffle-infused olive oil, you know, which
Absolutely.
is artificial, you know. Not to dog on them too much, but, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's the road you go down. So, I mean, but like I said, I went through 4 co-packers because the first guy didn't even try. You know, he just bottled something up, and I sent it back, and I was like, dude, this isn't even remotely close to my product. And he's like, well, that's the best I can do. And then we went through that, you know, 3 more times until we found the one. So, I mean, all of these products are about, I would say about 88% of the original recipes, but honestly, like, these guys are scientists, so they actually improved my recipes. I never want anybody to think that I'm a godfather of hot sauce. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm not, but I've got an idea of what I want in them and how I want them to turn out and how healthy that I want them to be, and I have a team of professionals that help me achieve that goal.
100%. So with the hot, you know, sauce scientist, do you feel like even in the hot sauce market, like, ingredients, different options, different flavors, opportunities are endless? Or do you feel like it is difficult to come up with something fresh and different compared to all the competitors?
So I don't believe in reinventing the wheel at all, you know? There's nothing you can really do that hasn't been done. The only thing that you can do now is make it higher quality, gourmet, small batch, just make it better, branded differently, and just do your own twist on it. You know, nobody's trying to come up with a you know, a 10-wheeled car, you know, because 4 works just fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
And it's been like that over time. So I mean, there's a lot of hot sauces out there that are garlic. You know, there's a lot of hot sauces out there. I think there's my hot sauce and Melinda's that are the only pizza ones. There's, you know, so I just wanted to, I mean, a lot of our products are products that I seen that I was like, I want to make better, period. You know, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, our Louisiana Love is our Cajun Creole inspired seasoning. I've been such a diehard fan of like Tony Chachere's and like Slap Your Mama, you know, like those Cajun seasons. But they're way too salty. They have all these things you can't pronounce. I mean, and you can get the salt-free ones, but you're still like looking at junk, you know. Just blasting another company.
Like all this name dropping.
Yeah, you'll get that a lot, you know. No survivors.
I'm gonna get like a lawsuit.
Cease and desist. No, but I was like, dude, I want to, you know. Let's see if I can create a seasoning, and let's see if it'll sell. I want to create like a Tony Chachere's, but I want it real vegetables, real dehydrated vegetables. I want very low sodium. I want it sea salt, you know, and I want it coarse. I want it chunky, you know. I don't want it fine like salt, you know. And I want it when you put it in your soup or something like that. You see stuff floating around like it. You want to see cool. You want to have genuine color to it. You don't want to see that it's dyed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So really, I mean, our Louisiana Love was just an approach on Tony's Satcheries or Slap Your Mama. I just wanted to make a product better that I wanted to eat, and I was like, hey man, if I can make 500 units of these and I don't sell them, then I'm gonna have my favorite Creole seasoning, and then I'll just eat the heck out of it and give it to family and friends. Our All American is the same thing. I really like what is it called, Lowry seasoning salt.
Same. Probably the only spice in my pantry.
I mean, Lowry's goes hard, you know what I'm saying? Like, but what's the deal with it? It's got a bunch of junk in it, and it's salty as heck, And so mine, that was the idea of it. I was like, I want to take that, but I want to make it better. So I started adding powdered caramel to it. I took all the buffers out. Theirs is about 87% salt. Ours is about 7% sea salt.
Wow.
So I mean, it's lower sodium, it's full flavor, real ingredients, none of the BS. And so that was the take on it, and both seasonings were an absolute hit.
I'm excited to try it. He's got these all laid out for me. I'm excited to go crazy with this on the night I make steak. I told Anthony I make 3 meals, and one of them is steak. So
absolutely.
Yay!
Use the All American on steak, beef, or chicken.
Okay.
Like I said, it's got that powdered caramel. So when if you want to oven bake some chicken, that caramel is going to caramelize. It's going to give you this sticky texture on the outside, but it's going to hold in all the flavor. It's absolutely incredible on food. Like our spicy garlic is just the basic white girl hot sauce per se. You know what I mean?
I'm sure I'll love it. So.
But it's like red hot, but it's not as hot as red hot. I really wanted to create a company that everybody could enjoy. Like that was the biggest thing, is they kept on sending me back hot sauces. They're my recipes, but they're hotter, and I'm like, no, dumb it down. Like make it more mild. Then we'd go to another bottle. I'm like, no, way more mild. They're like, dude, if we get any less hot than this, it's gonna be like a ketchup. You know what I mean? I'm like, bring it down. So we started using lower grade peppers. We use serranos. We use a lot of jalapenos. We use 2% habaneros. Because I don't want it too hot. I just love the flavor. We created some hotter sauces. We use chocolate habaneros. Which is a pretty expensive pepper to produce in a hot sauce, but it was a limited release, and I really wanted the customers to really enjoy a very high quality product that you're not going to find literally anywhere. I'm sure there's some companies out there that do it, and I know that there are, and I know that they're booming, because they sell such an incredible product. But yeah, really a lot of our things were just a twist. The banana one was just let's see if it sells.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
are there any new products coming out here soon, or
absolutely.
Can you plug it, or is it?
No, absolutely. I was saving that for you guys.
Period.
So we're releasing our everything sauce very soon.
Let's get it.
Yeah. So our everything sauce is. It's great on everything. I'm probably gonna have to get that trademark because I'm sure somebody owns it. Yeah, so it's a sauce that it's a Carolina-based sauce, so it's a mustard. It kind of tastes like Chick-fil-A sauce, but it's great on burgers. It's great to dip your fries in. It's great to dip your chicken in. It's great to glaze your ribs with if you're doing barbecue. It's great to marinate your chicken thighs in a Ziploc bag overnight. You know what I'm saying? To throw them in the oven tomorrow. I mean, excuse me, it's an incredible sauce that is an everyday condiment for everything, and when I mean everything. Breakfast sandwiches, soups, you could put it in.
Wow.
And so that's coming out real soon, and that's probably one of the most proud things that we've done, or one of the things that I'm most proud of that we've done so far. And so I'm really excited for that. And we're currently doing pre-orders of the collaboration that we did with 417 Foodist, the influencer. We made him his own sauce, and So we're doing pre-orders of that on the website. So we're going to bring that back again, and I'm sure we'll bring it back another time. But those are just limited releases. So you'll actually be able to find some of those cases of the hot sauce in certain stores. So if you don't get in the pre-orders because they sell out fast, I mean, we released 500 bottles, and we started pre-orders like 3 days ago, and I think we got a case and a half left.
Wow.
That hasn't been bought. So.
You guys have to go follow Springfield Trading Co. on social media. Like you have to give the emails, everything you can, so that you can be a part of the pre-orders and all of that. It's just like, when Springy Jeans has 5 sweatshirts available, there's a limited edition. So if you want to try the different sauces, you have to be in the know. So
100%.
Definitely got to follow. Well, we're obviously coming to a close to the episode with sad vibes because it's so fun. A few last questions. One, what is the hardest part about running this business, and what's the most rewarding part?
The hardest part about running a business is probably
or your experience with this business.
Yeah, my hardest part with running this business is probably, I mean, I'm very disciplined, I'm very consistent. I don't really struggle with that. It's really I love playing chess, and I always think ahead 20 moves in every situation. So in this situation, it's like we've been going up this entire time. When you first get on a roller coaster, it's all the way to the top, and then you go down and you go through a bunch of loops. So I mean, the only thing that makes me nervous is we're going to the top, and the only way you can go from the top is down. And so I'm trying to think ahead. I'm trying to to avert disaster from happening, or whatever may happen. And we're in good standing. We're in zero debt, and and we're in great shape. So and we've got incredible cash flow. But I'm just trying to plan ahead for what potentially could happen.
100%. And then what's the most rewarding part?
The most rewarding part is being able to wake up and, obviously I got to grind, I got to hustle, and I got to do everything I can, but realistically it's doing anything that I want to do that day. And having my family proud of me, my wife and things like that, just having them proud of me, and having everything just work out very well, and that's easily the best part. It's just the support, and impressing my family, and having an awesome business.
Loving what you do is what it sounds like.
Let's go, baby.
That's awesome. Do you have anyone that you would say is an inspiration for you, or is a role model?
I mean, it's gonna sound, I don't know if it sounds cringy or not, but it wouldn't be possible without God. I know this isn't an award ceremony or anything, but I mean, God has taken a huge part in my life, in the last 10 years, and I didn't have a relationship with Him, 10 years ago. My life was a wreck, and now I do, and now my life literally couldn't get any better, but when it comes to individual people, my grandfather was a huge one. He was a huge component of never give up work. He's a master sergeant in the Korean War, and he never gave up, and he survived and did some incredible things and raised a great family. And there's some business guys that I won't name, but they know who they are, and I just don't want to stroke their egos too much. Then they wouldn't be able to get their heads inside their Lambos, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But yeah, I've got some mentors. And they know who they are, and I appreciate you guys.
Amazing. And last question before we get into how I end every episode is there anything you wish you knew when you started? Like, you could go back and tell yourself, hey, don't try to do this. Like, is there anything you wish you knew before you started the business?
I've been really, really lucky, and it looks like that I have it all together, but it just happened to play out that way. I've made a lot of mistakes. One thing that I wish that I knew, it just would have saved me 2 years. I mean, I would be 2 years ahead. And that's, don't spend so much time with people that aren't trying to spend or give you the quality of time that you deserve, you know. And I'm referencing the co-packers, you know. You know, they didn't believe in me, they didn't believe in my product, and they thought I was a loser. Or not a loser, I don't know, they didn't think I was a loser, but they didn't think that this could ever be what it is, so they didn't really give me the time of day, you know, which you'll have that in anything, you know.
100%.
But yeah, that's definitely 100% what I wish I would have known, you know.
That's so good, and that's so many aspects. I mean, even in the podcast, or like little doubt or lies in your ear, oh, you're not good enough, you're too young, this is cringy, blah blah blah. It's like, do you like what you do? Like, can you go to sleep at night and you're like proud of yourself? Like, you're doing what God's telling you to do. I mean, these are the questions that matter to me, you know. So you're 100% right, and who you surround yourself with is the biggest component as well. Well, as we end each episode the way that I always do, Anthony, what is your favorite song, favorite quote, and what do you want your legacy to be? When you're gone, in the pastures in heaven, what do you want people to remember you as?
I want people to remember me as a genuinely good person. That's it. My favorite quote is, you know, 1 Corinthians 16:14, do everything in love, you know, and that was one of the first quotes that I've ever learned because it was so short. But at the same exact time, I fell in love with that quote because I found out if you live your life that way and you treat everybody with respect and you give people the quality time and you make the eye contact and you're not disingenuous and, you know, and you really care about people, you know, and you do everything in love, everything just gets better, you know. The quality of life gets better, the people you surround yourself get better, your circle gets bigger, you know. The people that are fake, the people that are bad, the people that don't have the same dreams, goals, and ambition as you, they go away, you know, they dwindle off, and you end up being a better person in the long run.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on. If people want to find your product, obviously he listed it in a bunch of places in Springfield. If you follow all his social media, you then can also order online or go to one of the stores that he's at. Any closing things to the listeners you want to say about anything upcoming, anything going on?
Yeah, absolutely. We do a limited amount of pre-orders. I get emails all the time of like, hey, when are you going to re-release it? And if you're one of those people, it's on there right now. It won't be probably in 48 hours from now. Please don't send me a mean email.
Act fast is what he's saying. Well, thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you.
To my listeners, I love you guys so much. It's been a crazy season. The episode after this one will be a solo pod. Hopefully it'll be in the new studio, but you never know. But really excited to just tell you guys all the tea and everything that's been going on. Make sure you guys live your life to the fullest. Try this hot sauce and slay. So I don't know how to end it like super Gen Z. Okay, love you guys. Bye.